Have you ever felt like you're in a constant race against the clock? Aidan did. A high-level fixer from London, his life was a whirlwind of stock market numbers, 7-hour time differences, and lukewarm machine-made coffee. His Rolex wasn't just a watch, it was a weapon, ticking away the seconds he believed were currency. He was dispatched to Saigon to clean up a complex deal, armed with his usual philosophy: faster is always better. But Saigon didn't play by his rules. The city was a sensory overload: sticky heat, the chaotic dance of motorbikes, and a confusing mix of jasmine and exhaust fumes. It was a direct assault on his orderly, air-conditioned world. For a week, he tried to force his London habits onto this new reality, seeking out familiar chain coffee shops, downing double espressos that only made him more tense, more irritable. His efficiency, the very core of his identity, plummeted. The final straw? His $10,000 laptop surrendered to the heat, shutting down in protest. Defeated and nursing a fierce headache, Aidan abandoned his car and started to walk. He was searching for a cool, quiet escape, but what he found was an aroma. It wasn't the thin, burnt smell he was used to. This was deep, rich, carrying the scent of the earth and a hint of sweetness. It led him down a narrow alley, a hem where the morning sun filtered through the leaves, and everything seemed to move in slow motion. There he saw coffee stall number 7. It was just a low plastic table and a few tiny red plastic stools. Behind it sat Chi Mai. She moved with an absolute calm, the clinking of ice cubes in a glass sounding slow and deliberate. Aidan, his shirt soaked with sweat, his Rolex glittering like an accusation, pointed at the dripping metal filter. "What is this?" he asked. Chi Mai looked up and gave him a bright, genuine smile that stunned him more than the sun. "Cha phe sua ja," she said, then repeated in accented English, "Ice, milk, coffee." He awkwardly folded his large frame onto one of the tiny red stools, a constant, wobbly reminder that he did not belong. But the aroma was already easing his headache. Chi Mai placed a glass in front of him, a thick layer of condensed milk at the bottom, a mountain of ice, and on top, the small aluminum fin filter diligently performing its task. Drip, drip, drip. In Aidan's world, coffee was extracted in 25 seconds flat. This was a marathon. How long does it take?" he asked, the Rolex on his wrist practically screaming at the wasted time. Chi Mai, without looking up from her work, replied, 10 minutes, sometimes more. It depends on the mood." "Depends on the mood?" For Aidan, mood was a liability, an enemy of efficiency. When the last drop finally fell, Chi Mai lifted the fin and gently stirred the glass. The sound, clink, 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 was simple, unhurried. She pushed the cup toward him. "Drink." He took a sip. It was a revelation. An intense sweetness from the condensed milk, followed by a fierce, almost savory bitterness, and a hint of a fruity flavor he couldn't name. It was a perfect contradiction, powerful yet softened by the melting ice. London coffee was a command. This Saigon coffee was an invitation. From that day on, coffee stall number 7 became Aidan's second office. He still took furious calls from London, but now he did it from a low plastic table, surrounded by the whispers of lottery ticket sellers and the snap of a street barber's scissors. He learned to wait. For 10 minutes every morning, as the coffee dripped, his phone was off, his laptop closed. He simply watched Saigon. He saw an old man reading a newspaper, Chi Mai sharing a smile with a motorbike taxi driver. He realized life wasn't a racetrack, it was a dance. Then disaster struck. A multi-million-dollar deal he'd worked on for months collapsed over a tiny error. He had moved too fast, missed a crucial detail. Furious, he slammed his fist on the plastic table. Chi Mai said nothing. She just handed him a napkin and a free glass of iced tea. "You want faster," she said gently, "but too fast. You drop something." The simple truth hit him hard. His obsession with speed had caused his greatest failure. He sat there all afternoon watching her work. She never rushed, even with a dozen customers waiting. Quality, he realized, came from deliberate slowness. Aidan had one last chance to save his career, a final meeting with the local partner, Mr. Nam. He walked into the luxurious meeting room, a changed man. No laptop, no slicked-back hair, just a simple linen shirt. Mr. Nam, a seasoned businessman, started with financials but quickly noticed the shift. "Mr. Aiden," he asked, "I have an off-the-record question. Have you found the coffee you needed?" He wasn't asking about caffeine, he was asking about peace. Aiden smiled. Instead of spreadsheets, he spent the next 10 minutes describing Chi Mai's coffee ritual. "It forces you to wait," he explained, "and while you wait, you don't look at your watch, you look at life. You see what matters." He explained that their deal, like the coffee, needed patience. Rushing it would spoil the final flavor. Mr. Nam listened, his expression softening, and then he burst out laughing. "Brilliant. Chi Mai taught you a lesson Wall Street never could. Congratulations, Aiden, the deal is successful." The deal was saved not by speed, but by the slowness he had learned. His first-class ticket back to London was booked, but on his final morning, Aiden wasn't at the airport, he was at coffee stall number 7. He pulled out his phone and sent a short email requesting indefinite leave to explore new working methodologies. He put the phone down, refusing to wait for a reply. Chi Mai placed his last coffee in front of him. "You go home now?" she asked. "Kong, toi on ha," he replied in halting but sincere Vietnamese. "No, I am home." He took off his Rolex, a symbol of a life he no longer wanted, and placed the cold metal next to the warm cup. They asked me why I chose a tiny plastic stool over a quiet bar in Mayfair. I couldn't explain. The bar is where you seek oblivion, but the Saigon sidewalk, where the coffee drops, is where you find yourself. He ordered another cup. For the first time in years, he felt no anxiety. He didn't control time, but he had mastered the present. The flavor of that coffee was the flavor of Saigon and the flavor of serenity. If Aiden's journey resonated with you, share this story with someone who needs a reminder to slow down and savor the moment. This is just the beginning of our Slow Drip series, where we explore how simple rituals can unlock deeper meaning. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join our community. Thank you for watching.